Let me say good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. That's a couple of good mornings there. To those of you listening to Classic Radio, GBNT, and those of you viewing via GBN TV, good morning once again. How are you doing this morning? Hope all is well. Those of you via social media platforms, good morning again. Hope all is well with you. Hope everybody's doing A-OK. You got up this morning, you gave praise to the Almighty, and you, of course, to go on out and do whatever challenges are before you this morning in the best of your ability. I'm your host, GT, here on To The Point this morning. And on Wednesdays is usually the government side of things pop by on To The Point. We not have anyone, of course, physically being in the studio with us this morning. So the folks from the government side has decided to let your voices be heard this morning here on the program, which means it's like a typical open line segment this morning. But we're going to have a specific topic lines that we'd like you to, of course, chime in on this morning. Let's hear your views. Let's hear your thoughts on, the way forward. Let's hear from you. And I have two questions that were submitted, and they would like to throw these out and hear from you, our loyal listeners and viewers, the public. Let's be giving you that opportunity to chime in this morning. And the numbers, both WhatsApp and the direct line, 4352041, 4352041. Those are the numbers that you can use to getting on the program this morning. So here are the questions I'm going to be throwing out this morning. Now, let's hear from you. We have that shortage of rainfall. Resulting in that national drought that we're experiencing. And of course, you heard the folks from Nawasa, they were talking on that this morning. And also, let's hear you. How do we plan to mitigate this in the future? What can we do? As the folks in authority, the folks in charge of the water situation here in Grenada and so forth. What can we do to mitigate that in the future? What can we do? The last time we had it this severe, was it like 10 years ago? When we had the valve regulations and all these things happening, was 10 years ago. And we're experiencing it again. And I know there are lots of folks out there unhappy. You know what it's like not to have water, right? On a regular basis. And so what can we do to mitigate this particular issue that we're experiencing now and not have it again in the future? That's question number one. Question number two. Now, the recent fires. How do we mitigate these fires for the next dry season? It's not nice to know that you have property and so forth, and fires occur and all of these things. You lose your property, and so we know what's happening. What can we do to mitigate these fires once again? Whether it's the bushfire or whatever. And sometimes we hearing in the news, individuals are responsible for lighting up these fires. So we know the problem that we experience in the dry season. How can we mitigate this to not have these things occurring once again? Let's hear from you this morning. And that's our topic of conversation this morning. So I wish that folks don't divert from it. Let's keep our conversation on the topics that I have mentioned this morning. Let's entertain our very first caller. We sort of lost that caller. Once again, 4352041. That's the number that you call. And to get on the program this morning. You have, of course, double options to get on the program this morning. You'll also call via the WhatsApp. Let's entertain our caller once again. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Yeah, good morning, GT.
How are you this morning?
Yeah, thank you. Good enough. And you?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, good for the two questions, which is very clear. I'm always satisfied when you have clear questions. In terms of what can we do to mitigate or to help to limit going forward, I would say, first of all, we need to decide what kind of society we need. If it's just an individualistic society where people do what they want, cut down trees, destroy rivers and ravines and so on. So we need to decide that. But more so, we need to protect our watershed. Our watershed is becoming more and more under stress. And then we also, in terms of education, I've received reports that when people are asking for trees to be cleared so that they could see their neighbors, I mean, it's ridiculous that we have this concept not knowing that trees are connected with water and the rain. So that's one. Secondly, we need to see this thing as a collective cause. Not just Nawasa, but all of us. In this regard, the PDA, and I think they start to deal with it, need to be working closely with the Nawasa and the Ministry of Environment and Climate. It has to be, and also NADMA, there has to be a collective thing because this thing is not just about Grenada. You recently, since this week there, St. Vincent have announced restriction on water use. It's right across the Caribbean.
Colin, can I ask you a question? I mean, do you think that the restriction that was that been implemented, that kicked off from of Monday, do you think that should have kicked off a bit earlier than it started now? Do you think we should have some kind of restrictions implemented a bit earlier so folks get an idea of the problems that we are experiencing before we get to that stage that we're at right now?
GT, you couldn't ask a better question. That's a good question, and indeed, we always missing the ball. Because if you remember, I'm one of those who talk about things like heat and excessive rain and that kind of stuff. But people don't listen. If we used to listen, and if we used to take things seriously, we would have been more advanced. Mm-hmm. Albeit, we had a change in the Nawasa administration. The head went, and so they took a time to really resettle and reorganize. But certainly, it is late in coming. I think in 2010, not because I was on the board at the time, it was done in a timely manner. And board, I mean, the same acting manager was then the chairman of the board. And it was done, I mean, very expeditiously. But that's when you need real proactive leaders. So, you're right. It should have been held earlier. And also, we need to bring people together. This thing, a lot of people who need to know here about that, they're not hearing right now. And as what caller called this morning and said, and GT, I would ask you to encourage your folks to replay that thing from Monday behind the headline, because there was a lot of information by the people, especially Mr. Smith, in terms of giving a better understanding of the difficulties that we face. So if we could do that, to really help people to realize this is a national, it's an emergency situation. We need to, and people boiling now after this and that without understanding.
Let me also throw this out to you. Do you think that people are taking the predictions from scientists and so forth seriously? Weather forecasters and so forth, when they do predict these weather conditions that we are experiencing now. Do you think that the folks, especially in our neck of the woods, the Caribbean, do you think that folks are taking those things really, really serious? Are we just thinking, well, it's just predictions that folks are throwing out there? Do you think that we do take them seriously, or we should have been taking them more seriously, or we wouldn't be in the predicament that we're experiencing right now?
It's again excellent question. I really am enjoying it with you this morning. These are the questions we need to ask. No, people are not taking it serious. I was shocked to somebody who have regards for telling me the other day that this day scientists they're making fun with the environment and that kind of thing. It's man-made and so on. No, there's serious problem with the climate. And certain things that we used to expect at certain time would not happen. The other thing about it is and that partly answer your question, there are a lot of free courses nowadays are being offered in relation to climate. Columbia University is leading the way. And many times I try to get people to take on these courses, and they're not. Whether they're doctors or they're people in the system in different departments, everybody is on their own doing something else other than trying to meet the challenge of our time, which is climate. So I agree with you. And you see, if you remember also, when the government changed, when a newcomer on this program, I used to always talk about disaster and that kind of thing, and I see you got children and so on, because we need to do with those things. Having another fridge or another whatever vehicle, that's not going to help us, or even another degree. And I know I can't stay long, but in terms of your other question on fire,
yes,
we need to, for instance, most of us are living in almost waiting for a disaster to happen. The electrical in 2012, 2013, the fire department came along in my area, and they gave us some instruction or advice, because some of the electrical installations are not proper. I myself had to change last year because a little more blew up myself. So in some way, we need to go back to the drawing board and examine people should probably get reapproval for their electrical stuff because a lot of that is contributing to fire. And then on top of that, we buying all kind of equipment that is substandard, that is imported from wherever. We need to also make aware of that.
All
and we
right,
need also to hold people responsible. When through their own fault, the house, they let their property burn, then they should probably have to rebuild it by themselves rather than me having to be there.
That's saying it a bit drastic. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Finally, we need to penalize people for setting any bushfire.
All right,
I know
you
have given me more time than.
All right, man. Have a blessed morning, as always. Caller via WhatsApp, good morning. I know you've been on hold for a wee bit. Good morning to you. Welcome.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. I think it was worth the wait. Thank you for asking that question. And I think focusing on solution. We know we have a problem, so we have to focus on solution and use our energy towards solution. Mm-hmm. Number one, not necessarily in that order, but number one, just so I can remember my train of thoughts. We got to figure out how we got here in the situation where we are today. And this problem is not new. It's been existing since I was a little boy. That's decades ago. The problem is that it has magnified. And the reason, there are many reasons for that. There are things which are with and without outside of our control. And some things are not within our control directly, but maybe indirectly, such as climate warming, etc., etc. The issue, though, is that we continue to march along with our development, notwithstanding the changes that are taking place in climate and the drought situations, etc. So we have to find some common ground, and I think it has to do with preparation. Number one, I called in the program earlier this morning and highlighted one issue in development, which is a positive thing, moving away from pit latrine to flush toilet. We are consuming more water just by virtue of that. Every time we urinate in the toilet, if we flush it, that's water that's just going down the drain, so to speak. So we have to individually take the responsibility in terms of conserving water use, because we do no longer we have it in less abundance. There's more scarcity now. Maybe when we certain things we do in the toilet, we have to flush it right away, but we don't have to flush the toilet every time we urinate in it. Number one. Number two, we have to build storage facilities. And that's something that should somewhat be an individual decision, an individual choice. And maybe the government, the PDA, can have something in place to encourage people to do that, to facilitate that. And I think that's been touched on already, so I'm not going to belabor the point. And now, the next thing, as it relates to fire, we have to, zoning is very important. Now, prevention of fire, you may say, well, that has nothing to do with zoning. But remember, when there's a fire in your neighbor house, your house can get on fire too. So the quicker the fire truck is able to come to take care of that primary fire, the more likely the increased chance of preventing a secondary fire. So that still comes into the realm of prevention. So I think zoning is very important to make sure we have enough street capacity for the fire trucks and so on to pass. The next aspect of that is to make sure when our electrical wiring and so on are done to a certain standard, so a national standard, and it's not to be in a I'm not trying to advocate for a system where the government micromanages everything, but there's certain things like that which need to have a standard, and maybe an inspector comes and does his or her inspection and certify that this is up to standard. And I agree with the caller. Things we plug into stuff, we have to make sure that the cards and so on, the outlets and so on, are appropriate for the wattage thing. So I think think there are a lot of things we have to do, but some of it has to do with individual responsibility. We are where we are. The climate change is going to happen whether we like it or not. We can just have to figure out a way to deal with those hurdles: conservation, storage, and collect more rainwater.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. We do have another caller via the WhatsApp. Let's see if we could get that caller on. Caller via WhatsApp, good morning and welcome. Caller via WhatsApp, good morning. I guess the caller is probably not with me. Let's take this one. Lost that one also. 4352041. And we're discussing this morning, the shortage of rainfall that we've been having for the last couple of months. I've been listening to the news and we hear from the Met Office. One of the main causes of it is because of the dust situation over there. That has somehow, hindered the amount of rainfall that we should have gotten for some reason. And you saw we had some rain yesterday. And that's because of a bit of the clearing of that, dust that we happened to get that shower yesterday. Let's entertain our caller. Caller, you're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, and how are you? Hello, good morning. I think the caller is not ready for us. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. Let's go. Yes, I'm hearing you. Let's go ahead, please.
Yeah. Right. The two questions you put out there. Mm-hmm. First, I would like to know a state that someone, because I guess as what you said, the government concerned, I hope that someone is taking note of all information. So I
assume someone is taking a note this morning. I assume someone is.
Okay, I appreciate that. First, we have to change our mode of operation and different things in a massive way. Are you there?
Yes, I'm listening to you. I'm listening. Go right ahead.
Right. I would like to see NASA embark on massive desalination plant. We have the seawater right there. We can do some desalination plant.
But did you hear from NASA this morning, sir? Not to cut you, but did you hear from NASA this morning? We have the PR rep this morning from NASA was stating that it may be a little bit more difficult for Grenada to operate a desalination plant on a permanent way for a long time use because of how the cost that Moors would have in a desalination, but especially for Grenada.
I didn't hear because the radio only was not on air in St. Andrews and via the radio.
Yes.
So I didn't hear. But if she said so, I know about the desalination plant. It is very expensive to operate because of salt and different things and equipment. But I'm not saying right throughout the year, but that can be looked at. Secondly, trees along rivers, especially bamboo trees. We see people cutting down trees and different things. Those things help store and maintain water. We should ensure that people don't cut down trees along the river coast, throw things in the river, and reduce the size and the water life in the river. Thirdly, just as how in the electricity aspect of things, they open up where you can sell power back to the grid. I would like they remove this act that was passed that NASA own all water in Grenada. And leave it if an individual have a stream, a spring, or waterway in his private land. He can invest in the production of getting water to the line and let him sell water over to NASA, because NASA may not have all the finance to do it, but private individual, just as how they can sell back power to the grid for Glen, private individual can invest in water.
You're an individual with a wide imagination, for some reason or the other. Anyway.
No, I mean, everything can work. You have to attempt, so remove the act.
All right.
Leave it to the individual. He produce the water. is sell over to Nawasa. That will enhance the boosting of water supply.
All right.
I don't know, I didn't hear the radio this morning. However, that's where the planning department have to step in. Every major construction of building, it should be ensured that they have some form of rainwater harvesting. If you look at Frequentia in the industrial park, Simon in the industrial park, they put up water storage tanks. But when rain fall on the roof, all the water go to wastage. These building and them, government should ensure that they have been properly sprouted, collect the rainwater, and store. The general hospital, schools, the industrial park, all these government buildings. That is something government work together with NAWASA and ensure those things can be retrofitted for the next dry season. In terms of equipment and efficiency for the individual consumers now, there are toilets that the suction of the waste is more of a air, very little water, and these toilets can operate. So you have to talk to the business houses. You can't just bring in any type of toilet. Work with the Bureau of Standard. Let us move out from these toilet tanks and them that taking a whole sets of water to flush. And let us look at those toilets. You could talk to somebody in the plumbing industry. I'm not so thinking about them, but I have known of them. Little water to operate, and you can flush.
All right.
Urinal bowl. Encourage people to install urinal bowl in their toilet room also, because a urinal bowl will take less water. But when you go in the toilet to urinate, you have to flush a whole tank. So what I'm saying, we have to take approach in efficiency as to how we do a lot of things, and we can't just step up next month for next month. So right now, NAWASA, together with government, Bureau of Standard, planning department, everybody should come together and work, because if we're talking climate change, as stated, the dry season will be worse. So save trees, ensure rivers have been maintained properly, and open up, as I said earlier on, where people can sell back water, if you want to say, to Nawasa grid, because a lot of streams in people land in Grenada.
All right, Colin.
In terms of the electrical aspect, I don't know how much it has been done, but I knew that every 15 years, an installation supposed to be re-inspected and recertified. So, house fire, you have to ensure the material that is being used, it's proper. Some people, the size of the wire they use as a conductor, sometimes it is too small based on the equipment, and people not knowledgeable about it. Bureau of Standard again, a lot of equipment enter the country, it is substandard, and it is used in electrical case. So you have to have the Ministry of Works, the electrical department inspectors step up on that. You inspecting houses, you're going back and see when last that house was re-inspected, and see whether they get a certificate.
All right, Colin. Colin, I want to thank you. I mean, you're making some interesting contribution this morning, but of course, you know, I had you on for at least you've been on for at least 8 minutes or more. So thank you once again. Thank you once again, and I appreciate your contribution a whole lot. Colin, good morning. My apology for having you on hold that long. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, GT, and good morning to the listeners. No problem. I was listening to the man with interest, because we all on the ground are coming up with ideas and as to how to solve the problem. But they normally say, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Now, I say in the kitchen, so they're feeling the heat. I believe if they could have done better, they would have done better. What we probably need to do is learn a lesson from Carriacou and Petit Martinique. They have hotels and guest houses, and I'm not hearing them complaining. And they have no rivers. So we need to now learn a lesson from them as to how to cope. Because they have been coping. They are not the ones calling on radio programs and complaining that they have no water. Yeah?
So
you ever thought about it, GT?
So true. I get where you're going, seriously. I do get where you're going.
So we need probably to have them in the discussion to reprogram our minds as to how to cope, right, in this situation. However, I know that all government have to come up with plans and ideas to strengthen the economy, for the overall sake of the country. They must come up with ideas as to how to strengthen the economy. But something we were reminded of by Mr. Thompson, I think from the land use department there. But he reminded us that the place in Woodlands that is now a commercial area was a protected area. It was a protected watershed during Mr. Smith's tenure. The Mr. Smith that is back now, it was a protected area. Now, when I listened to Beyond the Headlines, Mr. Smith explained the importance of watershed areas. That's the area of land that holds the water and sends it to the rivers and streams and wherever. And it was a protected area. Today we are seeing it as a commercial area. It has become a commercial area. So, therefore, the wells and so that Mr. Thompson knows that are there, they are probably now condemned. You see? So I am saying, in the process of progress, shouldn't the government itself take into consideration now mitigation, plans? Okay, so we are going to turn the watershed area into a commercial area, but what do we have in the event that we go scarce on water? That I would like to hear in the discussion, because I have not heard it, but Mr. Thompson reminded us of that recently. He even said that they proposed that the water policy and the land development policy should go hand in hand. But that was still in draft stage up to last year. Okay, so I don't know where are we with that now, but you see what I'm saying, how the problem lies deep. The problem can be deeper. The problem can be outside of Nawassa. Yes? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
To listen.
Thank you so much. Have a good morning. Folks, we drew for a break. Let's take that break. We're coming back. We'll entertain more of your calls. And once again, questions I've been throwing out this morning to get your input on this morning. The rainfall. We know we've been having less of it for the last couple of weeks, a month or two more. We've had a limited rainfall. What do we mitigate for the future of this not happening in terms of when we go through that drought situation? What can we do for ourselves as a people to mitigate and have that in a limited way in terms that we don't have the water problem that we're experiencing now? Let's take a break and we come back and we discuss some more. Stay with us, folks. To the point here. Classic Radio, GBN TV.
A call to protect our children. Innocent lives brought into this world. Fruits of the womb, boys and girls. Young lives born into families, longing to be loved and protected by society. Meanwhile, there are persons who are focused on abusing children, ravaging their innocence, pretending to be their friend, appearing to be genuine and a source of protection, they are the same ones who are armed with deception. These wolves in sheep clothing must be exposed. A lot are walking around and nobody knows. It's about time that these abusers feel uncomfortable in society, for the things they do to children is a disgrace to humanity. Our children's cry of no, help, seems to fall on deaf ears. Abusers still ravage them despite the painful tears. There are children who have been abused for many years by people they know. It's like no one cares. Can we not hear the screams of our children as predators continue to use and abuse them? So many died, gone too soon, should have been here to glow and bloom. Together, let's stamp abuse out of this land. As a united force, yes, we can. Wipe away the tears from our children's eyes as we create a society that is free to thrive. I call on all of society. Let us take a stand, for the power of change is in our hands. Make abuse of children a thing of the past, a society where children are free at last.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. Once again, it's To The Point. I'm your host, GT. Let's go back to the phone line. Let's see who, of course, calls on the line this morning. And topics of discussion this morning, as I said, the shortage of rainfall, the national drought that we experience, and how could we mitigate for this in the future? Let's take our first caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, I will not stay long. Some years ago, I was walking down close to No Problem Hotel. Between No Problem Hotel and the Beacon Insurance, that land there is a well, right? And the well was working good. What it needed just cleaning. And they say in Gary days, the people in Cali used to go down there and collect water in the dry season. So I would like if the government could look into that to find out who owned the land, etc.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's take another caller. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome.
Yeah, morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, my point is the way they develop Grenada has a two-tier system of development. So the south of Grenada is developed for tourism and others. A lot of rich people live in the south. They consume lots of water. Now Antigua don't have rivers. Barbados don't have river. The Virgin Islands don't have river. Aruba, Curaçao, but they don't have water problem. Our problem in Grenada is that people in authority, it become a cultural thing. Since Uncle Gary died, one group of people take over Grenada. Starting with the PRG gone, all the leaders gone. They have a St. George's development mentality. So they develop the South. And they're exploiting the rural people. For example, why drain Granite Lake to take water to supply the South? The South is a different development. Create system, get water from the sea. Do like in Antigua and all them places where there are river. And don't drain Granite Lake. Because when you drain Granite Lake, you're affecting the people in St. Andrew. The lake belongs to the people in St. Andrew. If we had
I don't think I agree. I don't think I agree with you by saying that the lakes belongs to the folks in St. Andrew. It's Grenada in general.
When I said belong, no. Don't have me out of quotation. I don't mean belong in the sense.
Well, that's what you said, so I cannot take you out of quotation. That's what you said.
But the point I'm making is, you know about the Great River. What we sometimes they call it Baltazar, they call it Grand Bras, Paradise, this big river. Now, when you drain the lake, the supply of water what coming back to the parish where the river is, you're affecting the people in that parish. That's the point I'm making. I might sound a little bit dry on that one, but I'm looking at Grenada on a holistic way. And if we want to develop a tourist area, create water system where from the sea, you get water from the sea. And if we have a good rainfall, you use the reservoir in the south to get water. But if we continue that way, the people in St. Andrews going to be affected too. And I was listening to the guy who you say speak for 8 minutes. He make a lot of sense. But you know what? I'm going to close before I go. He does now, his accent is too much. He don't have a southern accent, so they won't listen to him. You don't hear voices that like him on Beyond the Old Line. So a lot of people with a lot of good ideas don't get a chance to explain what is best for Grenada, because we everything is in the south, and we don't do a holistic way of looking at Grenada and come to the conclusion that people who living in the south living in a different social environment, so they're in a different economy, and if you continue that way, you'll affect the other parishes. So they need to create a water system, extract water from the sea, Aruba, Barbados, even Bahamas and those places.
All right,
but
sir.
they're doing well. Yeah, all right, that's my point.
Thank you, sir. Have a good morning yourself. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Hi, good morning, GT.
How are you this morning?
I'm blessed. We talking, GT, we have to try to get householders to see the value of storage. Mm-hmm. Number 2, now as I need to answer to burst pipe in a quicker time than they do, they have to operate like fire department. Because, JT, sometimes you're going down in your community, in your village, and you see a pipe burst. You call now and say, make sure they get the message. And 2 weeks after that pipe still leaking, tell me, when you go somewhere else and you see a pipe burst, you don't get any encouragement to call now and report to them, because they take too long, and it's thousands and hundreds of gallons that going down, so they have to try to answer faster in this situation. Okay, my brother.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm listening to a lot of the callers, making their contribution this morning. But I'm still yet to hear callers saying, what can we do as a people, what can we plan to do ahead for, to mitigate this problem for the future, for our beautiful island? What can we do? What can we do as a people that would certainly just eliminate that problem? May not be able to eliminate it 100%, but we wouldn't get to that drastic level as we experience it right now. Let's take another caller. Caller, you're welcome. Good morning. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
To you and to your followers. I asked the question yesterday morning, and if you remember, about this $119 million that was spoken about during the 2018 election campaign. Well, I kind of got an answer for you this morning from Nawasa. So, in other words, in 2024, 6 years after, we've only started scratching the surface to execute that project. And I think the problem we have here is a problem of capacity and to do things. If that money was approved 6 years ago, and today we are still not getting any benefits from it. I mean, things take time, you have to go through. But why? So in other words, we can say the drought came a year too early, or probably 2 years too early. Because based on what Namasa is saying, probably in another 2 years, they'll have the storage. The storage is the problem. In addition to all the things that have been mentioned, the problem seems to be storage. But the question is, why 6 years after those funds were approved, we still can't benefit from them. And we have to do things a lot quicker in this country, especially when, as the Prime Minister then said, we don't have to pay back 1 cent of that money. We can't even spend it. This is totally incompetent and inefficient for us as a country. And if that's the way we do things, we are doomed to be where we are today. So that's my contribution, unfortunately.
Appreciate your contribution, sir. Have a great morning. 435-2041. 435. Once again, folks, you know the recent fires. How do we mitigate these fires for the next dry season? Are we going to have a reoccurrence of the same thing in the next dry season to come? What could be done, to mitigate? And of course, we don't have a reoccurrence of what we have experienced thus far this year. Caller, you're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Telesford. Greetings.
Good morning to you, sir.
Trust that all is well with you.
Yes.
Just briefly, I wish to concur with your last caller. You know, since after the building of that airport in 79 into 83, with it opening 84, it was planned to enhance because they knew that the development of the South would take off. They knew that. Tell me something. Do you know of any additional storage on the southern side that was built and installed since then?
No. Not that I know of.
No, there wasn't, Mr. Telesford. There wasn't. What does that say? We cannot blame NAWASA per se as an entity, but we have to lay the blame on the policymakers of the country. NAWASA can only do what the state authorizes them to do. And sometimes I know, as I've been serving a state corporation, that you're telling them, but because they're the ministers and so on, they feel they can do what they want. There was serious shortcomings there. So people just flocked to the South. And of course, we are developing the tourism industry, enhance room stock and whatnot. Look at what happened in True Blue. They prepared nothing. It's unfortunate. And we can't turn the hands of the clock back. But we are where we are. So what we need to do is move as quickly as possible to enhance the storage of both types of water. I heard a woman this morning, what's the name of the person? Ms. Thomas, no, I can't remember the name, but anyway, a representative of NAWASA speaking of storage of raw water. We need to do that. They don't know that. It's unfortunate, but it's not too late, and Grenada wouldn't dry up within the time. But we had to move quickly on it. The last caller made reference of the boast of 125 million. There's a lot of money. I remember that. But we now see an activity on it. What's happening here? There is something else as I end. We oftentimes hear Ms. Antoine there, talking about the earth and what we're doing to the earth and so on in his own way. But you know something? The earth and the environment that it has created, the ecological system that it has created for us to survive upon. We are sitting on a branch and we're hacking away at it. And this is an unfortunate thing that we have not been able to come to terms with yet. I want to suggest to Grenadians as we speak of a new constitution for this country, that in this new constitution, something that has never been placed in the latrine pamphlet from the Imperial Order and Council of the Queen's Most Excellent Majesty, we have to create a space with equal rights of the environment and the ecosystems that supports it, equal rights as any man on this here territory. Unless we do that, so that one of the things, you cannot and you shall be jailed if you cut a tree less than 7.5 centimeters or 3 inches. And if you want to cut a mango tree on your property, you have to guarantee you plant some others in other places. We have to restock the nation with vegetation. We cannot continue to destroy the mangroves of the air country. We cannot continue to unplug it was spoken about. The watersheds of the country have been unplugged because because we cut down mangroves, such significant type of vegetation for maintaining these things, all to be close to the sea and not in interior. These are the things we have to do, but we have to take a serious look at, because what is coming is Kandanga Kumburundanga. Prepare yourselves for it, brothers and sisters, but in any event, let us try and see what we can do individually while the people and the helm of the country put their act together and do the correct thing. Thank you very much, Mr. Telesford. Have a nice day, will you, sir?
You too, sir. Have yourself a good one. 435-2041, 435 in the final 15 minutes left on today's program, folks. 15 minutes before we take a wrap for today's edition of To The Point. Your phone calls are welcome. 435-2041, 435. Let's hear from you, folks. In terms of, the shortage of rainfall resulting in that national drought that we're experiencing, folks, how do we plan to mitigate for this for this in particular way that we're experiencing now, in the future? Do we want to have this happening again in 2025, 2026? What can we do now, to not have it at that drastic level? May not be able to, eliminate it 100%, but we certainly could, of course, make the necessary adjustments that next year dry season we don't experience a problem of that nature. Sometimes it's natural, but sometimes we are the one that influence it the way that it gets to. So what could we do to eliminate that? My apology for those who are trying to call. I didn't disengage the phone line. Let's entertain another caller. Caller, you're welcome. Good morning.
Yeah, just quickly to support Mr. Rolo in terms of the Constitution, the environment in the Constitution, in the referendum, I think 2016, President that proposed. That's one of the things to make the environment a key aspect. We even submitted a paragraph that could have been used. But also, we need to make the laws related to the environment, all the laws, we need to really harmonize it and make sure that people respect whatever laws in place, whether it's dealing with wastewater or whatever. We need to do that. Otherwise, with the climate change, which is real, unlike what people are saying, when we get different type of weather or situation, wildfires and so on, we could make this place into a hell. Allow this place to come into a hell. I just thought I'll add that. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much also for your contribution here. Folks, we're due for a break. Let's take it quickly. And when we come back, we do entertain more of your calls in the final segment. Before the break, let's just take this caller because I somehow have engaged them already. Let's take this caller before the break. Caller, you're welcome. Let's go right. Let's hear your contribution, please. Go right ahead.
GT, good morning.
Good morning.
And how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm great.
On behalf of Nawasa people, because people know they're not praying, they know the dry season is on, the rain have to fall, and if the rain don't fall, we have no water to get. Nawasa can make water. They can only purify for us to get to use. But I find if you get on too much, what Nawasa. What Nawasa doing preparing the water for us? And if the rain don't fall, we don't have water. When we get plenty rain, we complain. We get the sunshine, what they want them to do. God alone could help us. Turn to him and pray and ask him to help us send some rain for us to cool the temperature down. Because we have so much heat now. Everybody complaining about the heat. But they go on to Nawasa, complain, Nawasa. Nawasa is not to blame for water. We, the people, is to blame because we're not praying enough to God and we're not asking God to help us to save us from the heat that we're facing right now, to send us some more rain that we could get some more water to use.
Thank you. Have a good morning. Folks, let's take that break. I'll be coming right back. Stay with us, folks. Just about 10 minutes left on today's program after we return.
Get ready to witness the ultimate showdown of athleticism and adrenaline. The Whitsuntide Games are back, and they're bigger and better than ever before. Join us on Saturday, May 18th at the electrifying Kirani James Athletic Stadium. The action kicks off bright and early with the morning session starting at 9 a.m. sharp. Watch the best local and regional athletes go head-to-head in a battle for glory and supremacy. But wait, the excitement doesn't stop there. As the sun sets, the evening session ignites at 4 p.m. promising even more heart-pounding action and jaw-dropping performances. Secure your spot now. Finish line A, lower and upper, $30. Finish line B, lower and upper, $25. General admission, main stand, $20. Get them now at gotofed.com. Mark your calendars and be there to cheer on your favorites as they strive for victory at the Whitsuntide Games 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for Grenada to laugh again. Heritage Theatre presents Spice Laugh Comedy Bash 2024, Saturday, June 22nd and Sunday, 23rd June at the Trade Center in Grandance, and on Sunday, 30th June at the Deluxe Cinema in Grenville. Showtime, 7 p.m. every time, featuring some of Grenada's best ambassadors of comedy: Robert White, Dillion Walters, Kareem Alexis, Dale Bowler, and other outstanding comedic performances, all coming to knock you off your seats with laughter. Get your tickets now. Bring out the entire family. Tickets are $60 and available at Mitchell's Pharmacy in Grandance, Gittins Health and Wellness at all outlets, Art and Soul Bookstore, Spiceland Mall, 3B's Shoe Store, downtown St. George's, Calico Supermarket, Grenville and Sutairs, St. David's Pharmacy, and Go to Fet. It's time for Spice Laugh Comedy Bash 2024.
Welcome back once again to listeners and viewers to The Point this morning. An open line this morning, and of course our conversation this morning, surrounds of course the the drought situation that you're experiencing in your island. We want to hear from you, our listeners, this morning. The opportunities is awarded to you to probably tell us the ways we can mitigate in the future of us, experiencing a drought nature of that level that you're experiencing now. The recent fires that we're experiencing. How do we mitigate these fires for the next dry season? What can we do to eliminate? What is it? More education is needed for individuals. We say it all the time, but probably the folks are not hearing it who needs to hear, the do's and don'ts. Let's go to the phone line. Caller, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
Every one of us is a Mr. Noel or Miss Noel. I don't even understand that. We do not understand if we destroy the trees on a whole, that we are putting ourselves in a street you call street. In other words, people doing they're doing the wrong things and they expect to get good result. As I already said, the people are cutting down the trees. The people in authority seems to know they cannot prevent them. The only thing I heard, someone said that they are burning coals maybe more than before, but I do not believe that. They are cutting down the trees mainly to build houses. And these houses need abundance of water, because most people nowadays build houses with, as they say, with flush toilet. And these toilets and other accoutrements are using plenty more water. In fact, your dishwashers, long ago, don't ask me how long ago was. People wash wells in a little bucket. Now they have the pipe running perhaps 15 hours a day. So then we have to get enough water to do those chores. But we in Grenada are not preparing for the future. In fact, even recently, you may find us tree. We are talking about educating people, but we give them multiple choice question where they're not placed to think. Because you just either guess and you pass. Then you let's leave that one. So this is what is experiencing people. Everybody believe, I know. And this is what, and those people who know, they're preparing themselves for the future. As for me, I know, but I do not have the finance to build big storage tank. This is what the government has to encourage the Wasa to do. Build storage tank around the country. Whether, in fact, government has the right to acquire any land, any system, whether water system or rivers that pass through a certain area, and build it for put some sort of a system inside the land. Acquire, but pay. When you acquire, you have to pay. But once it's for the general use of the population, you have the right to do it. Maybe they do not know that. So nobody has more right for water in their own land than even the government. The water belongs to all of us. It's time that we re-educate ourselves. Education is the key to success in anything. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, sir. Have yourself a good morning, and thank you also for your contribution. 4352041. Let me see if I can take some of the postings from the Facebook and WhatsApp this morning. Let me see if we can take this. Facebook, not much is happening there in terms of folks posting, but someone is saying via the WhatsApp, I believe it's the way we do things here. In the following weeks, we'll be flooding, and everyone will remember the dry season no one will remember the dry season. I think he's trying to say until it happens again. You may be so right, caller. Of course, the individual who posted there. Good morning to you. Welcome.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you.
There's so much to talk about. I'll make it short and sweet.
Go right ahead.
I think they should have a moratorium when the next board meets in Nawasa for all that money that's being spent, people paying for meters and sewer. They need and get that money back to the poor and vulnerable. The Minister of Security need to do some investigation as to where all this $1.25 million of money was allocated to Nawasa to do infrastructure. Get this money back into the Treasury, and they'll have monies to do the infrastructure and build all the tanks for the country. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. 4352041. Just approximately 3 minutes left on today's program. You have the option of calling in and share, of course, our topic. Of course, we spending some time on this morning. I want to hear from you. Ways in which we can mitigate, of course, from the shortfall of rainfall that we've been having for the last couple of weeks. We've been having that excessive heat and so forth, resulting in this national drought that we're experiencing right now. How do we mitigate for this in the future in terms of eliminating of getting to the level that we are experiencing it right now? Caller, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, brother. How you doing?
I am doing all right. How are you this morning?
I'm fine, my brother. Just have a nice cool shower. Feeling good.
All right, that's good to hear.
Ready to go to work. But I'm just saying that we have a wet season and we have a dry season. It's not something that we don't know. And remember I made some point a couple of years back where when rain fell, fall on your house. Normally, people these days have these big houses, and all the water is rushed because they have that guttering, and the guttering throw back the water in the road, and the road now take the water and carry it to the drains and whatever, and anything happens. But all that water going to waste. That person could have saved that water in a tank.
So that goes back to what Nawasa was saying this morning in terms of rainfall harvesting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So we shouldn't have a problem at all in this country. We just, as somebody, you read something earlier on that when the dry season comes, people forget. When the rain season comes, people forget you have a dry season.
Yeah.
And they live their life just like that. When time comes, they cuss and they get on and they forget again. It does go to show that a total mindset, that's the way a total mindset think. But the solution now is storage. Whether individuals can store their water, whether no one can do it, but storage is a problem. So Grenadians have to understand when they build the big houses, leave a space for the tank, they're underground, above the ground, store the water in case they're going to need some water for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. It's common sense.
All right, man.
You spoke about the fires, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, I was growing up. And normally around that time, people clear the lands because normally people clear the lands to get it prepared for planting. Yeah? My grandparents, when they bring me in the garden, they would clean. We cut down all the peach tree and all the stuff we need to cut down and get it in the middle of the land. We make sure we clean around the place where we're going to burn. And then we burn that peach tree and whatever we had to burn. And there was not this big set of fire spreading all over the place. So something had wrong with this people lighting fire. Maybe they don't know how to light fire. There had to be something wrong with this land because we grew up lighting fire, burning bush, with the whole land prepared to farm, plant corn and peas, whatever. And we never had this fire all over the place. So I don't know if people these days don't know how to do things. They didn't think anyhow. I don't know if they blame all sense. I don't know what's going on with these people. Something is wrong with them because I know I could light fire without spreading fire. Just common sense. But this people ain't going to light fire. They don't cut glass around the bush. They don't have having a bucket of water in case the fire decides to spread. You must have the things in place. So the government has to tell people how to light fire because most of them don't know how to light fire. By just banning them from lighting fire, it's not a good thing because you got to get the land prepared for planting. Because people have to plant. We need food. But you teach them how to light fire.
All right.
Tell them what they have to do, what they shouldn't do. Have a nice day, bro.
You too, man. Have yourself a good one. Thank you so much. Folks, it's straight up 1 minute already going after the 10 o'clock hour. That's what we're going to take a wrap for today's edition of To The Point. And I want to thank all who contributed towards today's program. Usually it's Government Wednesdays on the program today. Of course, there were no one representing, of course, in person this morning, but did, of course, sanction that we threw these particular questions out this morning to hear from you, the public, giving you that opportunity to let your voices be heard in ways in which we could, of course, mitigate, to help have a reduction in what we've been experiencing this year, the drought and so forth, and what we can do for the future, not having it to that extent, in 2025 and even beyond that. And we certainly heard a lot from you, listeners and viewers. You certainly threw out recommendations. Some of you make comments towards it, and we certainly do appreciate it a whole lot. Until we have another edition for you tomorrow, once the Almighty permits, have yourself a good one, folks. That's where I say goodbye for this edition of To The Point. Have a good one, folks, and goodbye.